Welcome back for today's science lesson. I'm Dr. Patty Barch, a traditional naturopath and owner of Naturally Unbridled Wellness, a holistic therapy center in Onalaska, Wisconsin. I'm also the founder of the Wellness Practice Institute. I have a strong background in science. I have 5 degrees in a scientific discipline, including a master's degree in biology and 2 doctorates in natural health. I also have a strong background in biotech, having worked 8 years for a global pharmaceutical company. Today, I'm going to be talking about the physiology of headlines. And in order to be able to do this without people getting the big eraser out, let's say, I'm going to avoid certain trigger words, and I may spell some words, and I may refer to certain things as the virus that shall not be named. Okay? So the first thing I want to talk about is how stress impacts the body. And let me just say now that this video might be a little longer than some of my other videos because I'm going to be getting into some of the science. So if you don't have time to watch it right now, you can bookmark it or save it for later, but you can find all my videos on youtube.com/naturallyunbridled. So we're going to talk about stress and the physiology of stress. And I want to recognize the fact that a lot of people have been under a lot of stress for a long time now. And there are physiological implications to acute and chronic stress. So the body's autonomic nervous system, that's everything that happens automatically in the body. These are things like pulse, respiration, body temperature, the contraction of the intestines to move food through, all the things that happen without you having to think about them. Those things are controlled by the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system has 2 parts, the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. And there's supposed to be a balance of those 2 things, supposed to back and forth. The sympathetic nervous system represents the fight or flight response. And the parasympathetic nervous system is the rest, digest, and repair side of things. So when you get triggered and put into fight or flight, please remember, we are animals. We are human animals, and our physiology is in alignment with those of the animal kingdom. So when you get put into fight or flight, there's a trigger that happens. It sets off a pathway in your body that has your body make stress hormones and divert energy away from certain organs in order to survive the threat. So in the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight side of things, you make stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. And there's a trigger in your body. There's like a switch. Your body says, it isn't safe, so we just have to focus on survival. And as focusing on survival, we need to not worry about digestion and reproduction, right? We need to worry about running for our life or fighting for our life. So energy gets diverted away from digestion, which means your ability to absorb nutrients goes down. We have seen in my office more constipation cases than ever before. We've had to really stock up on some colon supporting herbs and magnesium citrate because people's bowels are just jam-packed. So when you're in fight or flight, you're also not making those sex hormones for reproduction. So we're seeing more fertility cases. There's another level of physiological stress that's called the amygdala hijack. So this is actually a fascinating thing. The amygdala hijack is when the reptilian part of the brain takes over the logical thinking part of the brain, the critical thinking part of the brain. So when you're in the amygdala hijack, your reptilian brain is completely activated, and it's the part of the brain that makes herd animals like cling together when there's a threat nearby. It's the part of the brain that makes horses run into a burning barn when they're petrified. I had an observation of an amygdala hijack when my own dog got lost. She lost me and went looking for me and got panicked. And I went looking for her, and I saw her quite a ways away on our property. And I called to her, and she looked at me, and I could tell that the logical thinking part of her brain was shut off, because she looked at me and she didn't recognize me. It took her like a couple of moments for her to like be able to access that part of her brain again. But when you're in amygdala hijack, that is the run for your life, fight for your life, don't look back, just keep running until you get to safety. And what we've seen is we have seen people being in a chronic state of amygdala hijack, and that's being fed by the really triggering language that's being used in the media. And I'm going to give you a really powerful example of this in a few moments. So if you've been following my videos, you know that I really try to not watch the news or listen to the radio because I get triggered by the inflammatory language that is being used to keep people in fight or flight. And of course, there was a period of time recently, between the Capitol being overrun to the inauguration, where there was just a lot of insecurity and uncertainty in the country. And during that time, I felt compelled to be listening to the radio and just trying to be aware, like, what's going on in the world? Am I safe? And it was really interesting because I noticed how quickly it became addictive, that I wanted to be like checking in on the news and making sure, like, that fight or flight, that amygdala hijack, am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? Can I stop running now? And I look at the world in a different way than a lot of people, and I spend a lot of time in the position of observer. And so when I hear a story, not only am I listening to the content of the story, but I'm listening to how it's presented. And I've seen some things recently that really show me that the media is striving to keep people stressed out because they want to listen to the radio or the news more, because they're still trying to get to the point of, am I safe? Am I safe? And they keep listening, they keep finding out, I'm not safe, everything is scary, the world is horrible. And because of that, they have to keep listening because they're just waiting until they're going to get the news that there might be a light at the end of the tunnel. Chronic stress is a problem physiologically because immunity is weakened when you are stressed out. So think about like if you're in a fight or flight state, imagine your house is on fire. Okay, you're in this house, it's on fire, there's smoke, there's flames, and you're thinking like, I gotta run for my life. Are you gonna stop and wipe off the counter on your way out of the building? Are you gonna stop and spackle a hole in the wall? No, you're just gonna keep running. So your immune system does the same thing. When you're in this chronic state of being stressed out, your body doesn't go repair things. It's diverting all its energy into those stress hormones, into diverting energy to your heart, to your brain, to your arms and legs so you can run for your life. Your breathing gets shallow and chesty, and that changes your pH, which also impacts your immunity. It is toxic. Stress is toxic, and it's weakening the immune system of people who are chronically addicted to those triggering words that are being put out there in the media. So I wanted to give you an example here. I mentioned this the other day, but this is an example of two headlines from news organizations reporting about a patient who has the virus of the day and is being treated with ivermectin. So here's the first headline. RGH, which is Rochester General Hospital, under court order to treat patient, virus of the day, patient, with controversial drugs. So they use the word controversial. Pay attention to that. The other article, really, it's about the same patient. It says, Second Western New York Hospital ordered to treat virus of the day patient with, quote, experimental drug. So as I mentioned the other day, the experimental drug that they're talking about is ivermectin, and it's been around for so many years, it's out of patent. Dr. Pierre Kory, Kory, testified to the Senate. His Senate testimony is available online, and a segment of it is available on YouTube. If you search that, he's board certified in pulmonology and critical care, and he has been using ivermectin with his virus of the day patients and seeing great results. And what you're seeing in his Senate testimony is his plea to get the drug approved. So recently, the government changed their no, you can't use ivermectin for those patients to, we're not saying if you can or you can't, like, go ahead, do it. It's kind of like a nod, right? But they're now at the point, which is progress, I suppose, that they're not saying that you can't do it. So remember, these are the headlines. Second Western New York Hospital ordered to treat virus of the day patient with experimental drug, and RGH under court order to treat virus of the day patient with controversial drug. Now, if the media was trying to make you feel optimistic and empowered and give you the ability to shift out of that sympathetic nervous system into the parasympathetic nervous system where you can rest, digest, and repair, the headline would have said something along the lines of, Nobel Prize winning drug shows promise in TREATING, the virus of the day. Why aren't they saying, hey, everyone, get excited. There's this really amazing stuff that's happening. Because, by the way, after receiving the first 2 doses, Dickinson's condition improved. Her ventilator was improved. Her ventilator was turned down, and doctors were starting the process of trying to bring her out of the medically induced coma. Why isn't this headline all across the globe? This drug, ivermectin, it's been out of patent for over 20 years. It's been around for more than 20 years, which is why it's out of patent. It's available generically. It's commonly prescribed for people who are traveling outside of the U.S. To areas where they might be able to pick up parasites. It's used every single day in pets and livestock across the country. And in other countries, it is actually available over the counter without a prescription, like Tylenol. So why isn't the media saying, hey, there's this really exciting stuff going on. This board certified physician has testified to the Senate about the amazing results he's seeing in his experimental situation with treating, I said the T word, patients. Why are we attaching the words controversial and experimental rather than attaching the words Nobel Prize winning? Okay, so just one last thing that I want to address, because I've gotten a little bit of pushback from people, because I'm a naturopath, and why am I promoting, so to speak, or supporting the use of this drug instead of herbs and vitamins? Let me just say that I have always said there's a time and a place for drugs and surgery. I have also always said that supporting your immune system is your best opportunity for health, and take vitamins and get exercise and drink water and get rest and try to stay out of fight or flight. But let's face it, look at what we're looking at in the country. We're looking at a vast majority of the population being overweight, obese, and inflamed. And it's too late for some of those people once they get sick to try to bring the vitamins in. Like, they'll make some progress, but with this virus, they're going to need some bigger guns. And when the bigger gun is available in generic form for pennies per dose and is showing tremendous promise, I am all about, go ahead and use the tools that you have. I am not going to ever say, never ever use a drug that's shown to be helpful for people who need it. when those people get well, I'd like them to like, hey, see the light and think, hey, I might not have needed that drug if I would have supported my immune system better. But, you know, it's always good when something's there when you need it. So I hope you have appreciated this video. I hope you will start to pay attention to the words that are being used when the stories are being introduced, and the words that aren't being used, because rather than saying Nobel Prize winning drug, they're saying controversial and experimental. And that is really giving people a slanted perspective on what's actually happening in the world and what the opportunity might be. So have a healthy day. Peace out, peeps.